Chrissy from Moon and Hair Urban Farm, and I thought it was about time that I give you a tour of what I've got going on here at the farm in Eugene, Oregon. It's spring, so there's a lot of growth, but we don't have the vegetables yet, but there's a lot of stuff going on. So come along and let's go see. Okay, before we get started, let me just give you a little background information about the urban farm and what I've got going on here. I do have 1/5 of an acre, or it's actually listed as 0.19, so just under a fifth of an acre. And I've lived in this house for 14 years. My children, myself, and my ex-husband, we moved into this house with the idea that we would turn it into an urban farm. And over the years, like that's been, we make a big push toward that, or it wouldn't work out so much. So it's been a lot of back and forth. Different areas have been different things throughout the years. And then of course, there was the whole divorce thing, and during that time a lot of the yard got overtaken by briars, and so that has been a battle. I've owned the house for 3 years, and so during that time I have worked really hard on taking back the yard and turning it into this wonderland that I am about to show you. So let's go take a look. I've got a few different kind of like zones, and a lot of different microclimates, and it's a lot of fun to do the work and see this place just like take off. So let's take a look. Okay, first we have this zone in the front of the house. This is the north side of the house, and then this is the west, and this is the east. And here we have, this is kind of undeveloped. I have put some things in. There's some vinca going on up here, and there's some flowers, daffodils here. There's actually lavender here across the front, but mostly I haven't really done much with this area. You can kind of see my wood chip path going up this way. It's on a nice little hill, and so next year or the year after I do want to dig in some swales. And then it's got, because it's on the north side and it's got this big shady tree and the hedge over here which needs to be trimmed way back, I think it'll be a really great place once I dig the swales to put some lettuces in, and other greens that could last all year potentially. We're on the other side of the driveway, so again, this is the east over here, and this direction is the west. This area is this has been a lot of different things. Originally we put in, it was just gravel, and originally we put in raised beds, and then we put in like these hugelkultur mounds, and now it is all filled in. It's kind of a hugelkultur thing because there's got like a lot of branches underneath there. And then I have mulched it with leaves. There's about, I don't know, 20 inches of leaves on there. And so now it'll become my herb garden, although I like to put in food-bearing plants as well. So I actually have, this is a gooseberry, and then there's lavenders right along there, and then there's some elecampane out here, there's some elderberries, there's I just planted a Nootka rose, and there's some mugwort over here. And then this bench will be moved somewhere else so that it can just like look over the garden. And this is the leftovers of my leaf delivery from the city. A lot of cities allow you to get a leaf delivery in the fall when they clean them up off of the streets. So I have a couple different priorities in the garden that I am working toward, and number one would probably be perennial food-bearing plants, so like the gooseberries, and there's artichokes and blueberries and things like that, and also trees that I can fit in here. And then the next priority would be medicinal herbs that I will actually use, or my community will use. And then native flowers is a really big one for me as well. So those are the kind of things that you're going to see here. All right, welcome into the backyard where the dog is waiting, and this is where the majority of the garden happens. He's very excited to have his people out here. So this back fence, that is the south side of the house. And again, this is the east and this side is the west. So this area actually gets a fair amount of shade because of the house being right here. So I'm trying some shade stuff here. So there's thimbleberries and huckleberries in there that I hope will just like take over this whole bed. Um, Originally, however, I planted spearmint in there, and if you know about mints, you don't plant them in the ground. Well, nobody told me that when I first got it, so it does try to come and take over every year. But you can see there's a thimbleberry right there. There's also some hollyhocks, and there's an artichoke and a lilac. There's 2 artichokes in the lilac. And then over here on the other side is raspberries. So this area, again, like I said, is shadier, but it does stay pretty dry. And then here is my beloved fig tree. You can see all those little sprouts on there. It is so prolific and they taste so good. Figs are one of my favorite fruit, so this tree is one of my favorite things. We walk back from the gate toward the south of the house. This is my section with the raised beds. I try to stick with annuals in the raised beds, although who knows, you might find some out in the other beds. I do consider myself a chaotic gardener, and you just never know what you're going to find. So nothing's really going in there right now. There's some garlic, but I've never really been much of a winter and spring planter, so that is something I do want to work on. And then here along the fence, these are all my herbs. These are mostly culinary herbs, so there's chives and marjoram, oregano, sage, all sorts of things. There's some rosemary over here, garlic, chives, all things that I can just come out from the kitchen and pick to eat with our dinner. This back here is a yostaberry. It actually bloomed for the first time this year, so I'm hopefully going to get some fruit on there. It's pretty exciting. So I have 5 raised beds, and the wood chips are new. I got them last year, which is really exciting. This is a volunteer kale, which just cracks me up because I planted kale in places, but that was not one of the spots. This area, I call this the back 40. It used to be completely covered with briars, just huge briars everywhere. And we cut them back little by little, and so now eventually I'll put in 3 more raised beds in this area, but we are just making sure that the briars don't come back. And then back here, this is where I want to have a 2-bin compost system going on. And then I've got a little baby bay tree right there. And this is an Italian prune tree. And as you can see, and you'll see this kind of everywhere, even in the raised beds, there's grass because the type of grass that was in this yard grows by rhizomes. And so it is everywhere. It just grows under the beds, and all I can do is keep pulling it and see, it's in here, and hopefully eventually it will go away. Moving on from the raised beds a little bit more toward the center of the yard, here's a rhubarb. I just love rhubarb. I mean, I love to eat it and use it as well, but it just like it dies back to just absolutely nothing. And then all of a sudden here is these giant leaves, and I just really love them. And then I've got blueberry bushes here, and you can see the prune tree that I mentioned before. And then so this is the south side, and I know you're not really supposed to plant trees in the south because they can block the sun from your other plants, but this is where I needed privacy, so this is where all the trees go. So there's an apple, there was a cherry here, but it's gone now, so now I have one little elderberry there, and that will hopefully grow up and be very happy. Bed is pretty much right in the middle of the yard, and I call it my chaos garden. I just sow seeds in here. There's lots of flowers. As you can see, the tulips and daffodils. A lot of these are just blooming for the first time this year as well. Here's a spirea, and then the forsythia. There's a lot of dead nettle. I only pull grass. That's pretty much the only weed that I actually pull because it's the only one that I just is the bane of my existence. Over here, you can't really see them, but there is asparagus and some walking onions. And here's comfrey. And then all of these little tiny babies, that's calendula. Those are calendula babies. So excited to have those. This is a cardoon. These stalks are obviously dead, and it will grow new ones, and they have just like this really very beautiful artichoke-like flower at the top. And then we've got some more comfrey and some horehound and more wood chip paths, which I'm really proud of and just love having, and love not having to mow that area as well. Oh, this little baby tree here too, that's an Asian pear, and I am really impressed with it. It's so prolific for how little it is. This is the back of the house. I've got this one raised bed that has a couple gooseberries in it and this very lovely artichoke. And then next to it, we have the greenhouse. This is southern sun that's hitting it right now, so it just gets lots and lots of sun. Should we go inside? It's still pretty early, but I've got a bunch of seeds in there. I've adapted the greenhouse to have extra shelves. It actually has 4 shelves and instead of just 3. We've got some zinnias going, and sunflowers and bachelor buttons and snapdragons. There's some St. John's wort and some figs down there, some marigolds, and then I just keep some planters ready to go whenever I get some seeds that I want to plant. Here is the shed. It's was put in by the previous owners, and it's kind of in like a really awkward spot. It's very close to the house, which is right over here, and but also like far away from the fence. So it's kind of a weird spot, but it serves its purpose. Over here, alongside the shed, you can see my 2 bins of mint. One is chocolate mint and one is peppermint. Those are probably my 2 favorite mints. And then in the back, you can see that grape arbor again and the apple tree. The apple tree has like 5 or 6 different types of apples that have been grafted on, which is really exciting, but they haven't really produced yet. This is my last little zone. This area is also very shady thanks to these elderberry bushes back here, and then I've got this pear tree and the lilac over here. These keep things very dry, or sorry, very shady, and then also kind of moist. So it gives me, this is just like a different little microbiome to give me some space to play around. I have a lot of flowers. You can see the fuchsia, and there's tulips and irises, and this purple flower that I don't know what it is, but I do like it a lot. But I also intersperse lots of herbs, and sometimes I do that on purpose and sometimes I don't. Like this plantain is a volunteer, but it's very good to have. And then there's red sorrel, which I did put there. But it likes to just go everywhere, so that one you got to watch out for. But then I've got like parsley mixed in as well, and then there's like a wood sage. But the parsley, the funny story about that is I planted it elsewhere, and it kept bolting before I could use it to make tabbouleh in the summer with my tomatoes. And so I decided to just plant it in a bunch of places and see where it would survive. And now I've got, 1, 2, and then we go over to this side, and there's more over here. So I just have parsley everywhere, and that's okay. Like, you can just intersperse, look at that tulip, all sorts of herbs and plants, and wherever, you know, because a lot of the herbs are going to have beautiful flowers too. Like here's a purple sage, and I believe there's a variegated sage back there that, you know, they're going to get really big and be beautiful. Oh, there's that parsley I was looking for back there. And then I've even got another rhubarb over here, and this is a currant. So I do plant food plants and flowers all together. This area, like I said, it's really nice and shady in the summer, and I like to put my Adirondack chairs right out in this area, and it's a space where I like to sit and just chill out and look around and, again, be surrounded by flowers. That is definitely my goal in that area. So that was a tour of my urban farm and what all I've got going on around here. Like I said, it's spring and everything is gonna be just beautiful and blooming, and um, I think spring is probably my favorite time of year because everything just starts popping up everywhere and you just see growth that happens within just a few hours. So that's really exciting. And I'll do another one in summer and in fall so you can see how the area changes, especially summer, late summer, when all the vegetables are just popping. That's my favorite. Those that's just I had just had the 4 raised beds last year, and we definitely had plenty of produce for myself and my kids. And now with the 5th one, we're hoping to be able to serve the community by providing some produce for the community as well. Okay, so I think that's it for the tour. Please hit the subscribe button so that you can keep following along and see all the other things that I do. Okay, bye.